when you really think about this, the mental toughness part of it is only can come really from two guys, when Monty Williams and Chris Paul. These are two great leaders, guys that have led them all season long. They got to be the two guys to kind of really ensure these guys that, hey, we can go in Milwaukee and get a win and get back to Phoenix. Those have got to be two vocal guys. I'm pretty sure they have been, but it's got to come from that. And for Chris Paul, he has to be the aggressor on the court immediately. He has to put this team on his back. That first quarter, Milwaukee's going to be feeding into the crowd. Chris Paul cannot let these guys get away from them. They got to make sure that he stays mentally focused throughout this game, because they're going to follow his lead. This is a young group, their first time being there. And I know this is Chris's first time being there, but he's the guy with experience. He's been the leader throughout the season. He has to be the one to continue to keep these guys upbeat, because the Milwaukee Bucks have their number. They figured them out. They got their matchups right, and they even got a little extra when you really think about it on the matchup side, because now they figured out that Holiday can actually guard Devin Booker for long stretches. So you got to put that in perspective too as well. So I just think the Bucks have their number. They're ready now. They're more confident. Their rotations are down. If you look at the Bucks' rotations and how they're playing now, they're down. And that was a special performance. I'm listening to you guys earlier talk about this alley-oop and these different plays. What was impressive is the big three playing together, playing off each other. All three guys showing up in Game 5. You got to give that's the credit about that Game 5. All three of those guys showed up. You rarely get that in the playoff series. You don't get all three guys to show up. And if all three guys show up, Phoenix don't have a chance in Game 6.
Ooh. So the question is, what is your level of confidence in the Suns and coming back and taking the momentum back? My confidence level is still strong. It is. I know
sounds
you guys
like
got
it.
the
Let me tell you. It sounds like it.
You sound
Where is Chris? Show that we said, put some bass in your voice. Listen, the last team to come back from an 0-2 deficit in the finals was your team, Twan, in 0-6. So this is hard to do. Now, I was just playing the numbers going back to Game 1. They took Game 1, and it was like 70% percentage. There was 70% percentage of the Suns going on to win it, and then they won Game 2. And now you look at the teams that went on to win it. The Bucks had less than a 10% chance of overcoming this deficit. This is tough to do. So for them to be in this position, they have all the momentum. But at the end of the day, this was the hottest team going back to March 1st in the Suns. The team is better. Trust me when I say Monty Williams is the better coach, CP3 is the better point guard, and the big three on the Suns is better than the Bucks, but they're not playing like it. For them to go out there, and you just talked about it, Twan, their big three combined for 88 points. That is out of this world. I don't expect them to do that again. Giannis, Middleton, Jrue Holiday. Jrue, 27 points. Jrue is hit or miss when it comes to that. Now, on the defensive side, you know what you're going to get. And you talked about it. He can guard Devin Booker. He put a lot of pressure on CP3. CP3 started to implode the last couple games. So, Nick, I just don't think the Bucks in Game 6 and then in Game 7 is going to combine for 88 points. It's going to be that efficient. That's what they've been doing the last two games. I don't expect that to continue.
I think this will shock the audience, but I think Brandon is absolutely right. In fact, I think the Bucks' big three is going to combine for 0 points in Game 7 because there isn't going to be one because Milwaukee's going to win this thing in 6. Sorry, buddy. I know you were big on the Suns are the better team. No, they're not. I know you were big on their big three's better. Will not win the head of the snake for the Bucks. Big three is Giannis, who had, 32, 9, and 6. And it felt like a down game. Not when Milwaukee can be down 16 at the end of one, send Giannis to the bench, and it's tied before he comes back in the basketball game. This is a team playing with so much confidence that Coach Bud rolled out two lineups that shocked me. One was any lineup involving Jeff Teague. What are you doing, bud? Do you have a bet with someone? Jeff Teague can't play. But the other one was the Giants. He rolled out a lineup that had played 0 minutes together ever. Lopez, Portis, Middleton, Giannis, P.J. Tucker. P.J. Tucker's your smallest guy on the court. It's like, hey, it's game 5 of the finals. Let's try this out. So I don't see a path forward for Phoenix. And it also does bear mentioning that when we look at teams down 3-2, if they come back, the NBA changed the finals format in the last decade. It's not 2-3-2 anymore. It's 2-2-1-1-1, meaning that if you're down 3-2, it's not like you've got game 6 and 7 at home wilds like some teams have in the past. You got to go win in Milwaukee. Yep. Today is July 19th. Milwaukee has lost in Milwaukee one time since April 19th. It was the Trae Young game 1 of that series, 116-113 with Trae having like 47 and 11. They're not going to lose game 6 at home. Brandon Jennings is going to be the oracle of our times, just a decade ahead of time. Bucks in 6 coming home for the finals, just, about 8 years after Brandon Jennings said it was going to happen.
All right, so Antoine, I want to ask you about the comeback, the 16-point comeback that the Bucks had, and if that's going to have sort of a mental or emotional gut punch carryover into Game 6. Because I didn't play in the game, and that's right, you guys didn't see me. I wasn't there. I was just watching it at home. But at halftime, I was like, oh, I felt terrible. It felt like a boxing match where you're winning the first few rounds and then you get clobbered and you go back to the corner and it's just like, holy cow, like what just happened? And you end up losing the fight. Like at halftime, I did not think the Suns had a chance of winning that game just because it was too emotional, sort of wrenching. And here's the other weird part. The Suns shot 55% from the field, 68% from 3, and 90% from the line. I don't think they can go in with a game plan of like, let's shoot better. They shot amazing. So I guess my question is this. Do you feel like the emotional gut punch of having a big lead, about to take control of the series and losing it will carry over to Game 6?
Well, you got it as a team and the players, they may not come out publicly and say it, but they got to be feeling a little bit like when they look at the stat sheet and they look at the game, they watch the film like, man, we can't play any better than the way we played. And it was a great game, and we came up empty. Our best player gets 40 points in back-to-back games, and we still lose. Then Chris Paul returns and plays great, 11 assists, 1 turnover, and you still lose. So those things, start to play in your head. Jay Crowder gets off to a great start. It's the first 10, 12 points of the game. Then he disappears. So he's probably like, what do I need to do to help this team out? Bridges, a guy who's been up and down throughout the series. So you're talking about your main five guys that probably played the best they could play. Brandon won that, and you guys have won that Milwaukee Big Three and probably cannot duplicate the same numbers that they put up. But can the Phoenix players duplicate that? Can Booker get you one more 40-point game? Does he have it in him to do that? Could Chris Paul go 11 assists and 1 turnover again? So all these things are in play right now. I just think
after all,
I just think Milwaukee
that's the difference. Everything you just said. Everything you just said, it comes down to that trio. That's what it comes down to. That trio is super hot the last 2 games. I mean, it's just you talking about the efficiency, and you're talking about 88 points combined. Jrue Holiday, Middleton, who's been up and down. Jrue Holiday really has his.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.